Negative space. It's a fundamental of art. You've undoubtedly seen it before, even if you don't know the name for it. Simply put, its negative space is the area around and between a subject. It appears in all drawings and paintings. How artists use negative space to say a lot with nothing. Let's begin using our own negative space when we're making these snowflake paintings. To begin working on your own project, grab some circles and draw a variety of different sizes of circles so they're not all the same. You'll also notice how I'm trying to fit on as many circles onto that piece of paper as possible so that I've got a large one, 2 mediums, and 2 smalls. Once you have your circles drawn around and filling up the whole entire page, go ahead and grab your scissors and cut them out. Once you have your circles cut out, let's take a moment to fold them and cut so that you can have your snowflakes made. You'll notice I'll fold it in half, fold it in half again, fold it in half a third time. After I folded it, you'll notice that I'm creasing it with my fingernail, and then as I take my scissors, I'm going to carefully and slowly cut away interesting shapes from my snowflake design. When I start cutting my designs, I try to think in my head about getting my shapes close to each other, just not touching each other. The shapes that touch each other might make your snowflake fall apart. So you'll notice that I'm using the end of my snowflake, or the end of my scissors when I do the cutting. When I do my cutting on my snowflakes, I usually use the bottom part of the scissors rather than the top part of the scissors, so watch for that. See how I'm using the end of my scissors, not the tip of the scissors? And I do that because if I'm using the end, I have more strength to cut the paper. The very top of the scissors do not allow me to cut out the snowflakes very well at all. So that's one of the things that I'm thinking about as I start to take away. The other thing that you might notice is that if I can't get the shape out, I twist it or I pull it out until I have the shapes cut out for my snowflake. I love this part, is opening it up and revealing what the snowflake looks like. So again, it's fold, 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 crease it with your fingernail, and as you take your scissors, carefully cut out interesting shapes or designs that are close to each other, just not touching each other. When you cut out your shapes, you can cut out from all 3 sides of your paper. So you have an interesting and with lots of space cut out for your snowflakes. Okay, I wanted to show you what it looked like before I opened it up. The shapes are close, just not touching each other. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my last 2 circles and carefully cut those out as well. I sped up the video quite a bit so that you can see the same thing, only in a faster tempo. Also, check out what I'm doing with my scraps. I pick up my scraps, put it in my hand, and then take those to the garbage. Let's take a moment and get ready to paint. On your second sheet of paper, grab a pencil, put your name on the back side, and carefully start arranging your snowflakes onto the paper where you would like them. When you have them arranged where you would like them, grab some paint and double dip the brush. You know, I started in my purple, then went to my turquoise, so it doesn't have to just be one solid color. I also grabbed a painting mat because I didn't want to add any more paint onto the table. Now, once I had my snowflakes placed out, you can do one of 2 things. You can either just carefully hold it with your fingers like I am with your snowflake while you're working on it, or if you feel more comfortable using itsy bitsy tiny pieces of tape onto your project so that it doesn't move, that's another option. You know, again, I'm using my paint and I'm trying to mix my colors together so it's not just one solid color, but instead mixing to create an interesting color. See that brush, how it had the turquoise, the white, the blue, and the purple? And by dabbing my brush, you'll notice I'm not swiping, I'm just dabbing the brush into the paint, then onto the paper, so that I get this really cool layered and textured look into my paint. I love the way this is starting to look. It's a very delicate paper, so I'm trying to be as careful as I can so that those snowflakes stay in place. Very, very carefully taking my fingers, moving them away from the snowflake as it gets painted on top of. Also go ahead and paint in the rest of your background space so that your snowflakes aren't just filled in on the snowflake part, but also taking care of the rest of the image onto your paper. Your background is completely full of textured, cold colored paints. For one of my favorite parts, it's time to reveal. As I take the snowflakes off of my paper, I'm going to carefully and slowly pull the snowflakes away from the paint. I like to do this when the paint is still wet so that it comes off of the paper. You'll notice I'll take a pencil if it's really, really delicate and hard to get to. The pencil will lift part of the paper so that I can carefully tug it away from the end of my project. Ta-da! I'm going to set this in the drying rack now, and I just love the way this looks. I hope you have fun making your own radially balanced negative space snowflakes. Have fun!